Hi everyone, Felipe Castelo Branco here again. So once again, I'd bring to you characters, people, associates, researchers from Dakila, the old-timers, who have a lot of experience, a lot of life experience, right? They have the experience of our training sessions, of what we do. Today I'm bringing Larissa Kautzmann, who also practically grew up in Dakila, Project Portal, right? And she has some very interesting accounts about mental technology in practice, the practical results, and I'll even put some images here for you to see. Also, later we'll have a little chat about the higher self, okay? Which is still misunderstood. That's the future self. It's you in the future. It has nothing to do with the divine self. I don't know. It's nothing like that. It's very pragmatic. It's very practical. It's very objective. Larissa will even tell us about the encounters she had with her future self. In other words, it's a physical thing, folks. It's not, oh, I'm going to channel. I'm going to. I don't know. It's nothing like that. It's physical. She was there in front of herself, the future Larissa, talking to her. This happened with countless others from Dakila, as I've already told you, including my father, here at his house in Campo Grande, in his room. It was surreal. I'll see if I can interview him. He's a bit old now, but let's see if he tells that story, which was also very interesting for you to see that it's a very physical thing. And in the end, we talk. Larissa shares her account with us, because she was present during Bernardo Costalunga's contact, whom I've already interviewed here on the channel, right? Look, if you haven't watched it, click here. Watch Bernardo Costalunga's interview. He was a little boy, right? And he was in a children's group. Larissa was there, Fernanda Lima too, and they saw everything, witnessed everything, and it's really cool for you. So, Larissa, let's go. Thank you for giving your time. You're very busy. So, let's go. Let's talk about this mental technology of ours, the result of our training sessions at Dakila.
Certainly, Felipe. I already thank you for the invitation. It's great for us to always chat here, right? For us to exchange some ideas. I thank Felipe. Thank you to everyone watching too, right? We always like to have this chat and talk about it. Why? To reach more people, right? It passes on more information. We can make people also think about their daily lives, that they too, certainly, are feeling this. This result is also happening for them. They are also being worked on, and this makes people, realize, something is really happening, right? So, as Felipe said, there are a lot of experiences, right? And this experience, all these years that we spent within Dakila, the Portal and Dakila project, adds a lot of knowledge to us, right? It allows us to develop our skills and these experiences are essential in our training, right? So that we can understand what's happening to us, right? So, you did the live with Erneni. You did it with Bernardo, Nanda. So they all reported physical things happening. So, it's not like people sometimes think, oh, yeah, we saw it, we thought that happened. In reality, that happened, oh. The camera recorded it, the recorder recorded everything. It's real, we see it physically happening. So it's good for us to report everything here, to tell people, so they can understand this process, right? This experience, folks, is essential for our development, for our understanding. Because they often explain things to us, but experience adds value, right, with we can understand the process better. So one of those times was when there was this task there on the probes, right?
Exactly. The probes are a region of the farm, a prepared place, like people. I like to explain this.
That is good.
The farm is a very different place. Besides being in the 19th parallel, which is the region of greatest vibrational activity, it has also been prepared with certain artifacts by our partners of the 49 races. Doing what? Placing these technological artifacts. Why? To modulate and produce certain fields of vibrational frequencies. To make what easier? Our training and also the physical result of these trainings, enhancing everything.
Exactly, the supposed nature there, right?
The supposed nature, exactly.
Exactly. So, yeah, this place is called Sandas. We went there with a group. So there was a group that was going to stay in the parking lot of the sleep.
And a big group, right? There were more than 100 people, right? I was there too.
More than 100 people. Closer to me, right?
Nanda advanced with someone else, I think.
He was. There were about 12 or 15 people. Around there.
Around there, we were a little further back.
You were there, right?
It was.
Felipe was there that day too. And that's cool because it brought us experience. Everyone who was there brought the experience, yeah, of mental technology. What can we do in practice? What can we actually achieve, right? So, all the people who were interacting there also received this frequency of mental technology with the ability to promote this as well.
E a Larissa vai iniciar a parte dela, que poderia acontecer só daqui a ano, né? E aí antecipou. Por algum motivo lá que eles vão explicar para nós, antecipou. E vai ser hoje, né? Então ela vai aprender como faz isso aí. Não é difícil, é simples até. A maior parte são eles que fazem, né? Ela só tem que aprender a saber assim, a distância da abertura do portal, do vórtice, saber perceber e a hora que ela aciona uma vibração sonora, tá? Para que isso aconteça. Então, é simples. E mais tarde, com certeza, vocês vão fazer isso também, tá?
Exactly. Precipitation. We call it precipitation. A lot of people say materialization, but that sounds kind of mystical. It's not, it's precipitation.
Exactly. So what happened? That day, honestly, we didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was a preparation, it was a training. So yeah, Yurinder was with us and we went a little further ahead at that spot. Some people stayed focused on the probes and others were about 20 meters behind me. So everyone who was nearby could see the manifestations, everything that was happening at that moment. It took a while, right? Because what happened? Later, we could see everything that happened. We could tell that Bilu was preparing all of that, right? He was guiding us the whole time, and he was setting up that moment to create a mental image, so that it would happen, right? So that it would materialize inside that container.
Exactly. Remember that E.T. Bilu, as he's known, from Belzinho, right? He's with us. He's right there by our side, you know?
Right by our side.
Coordinating everything, like guiding everything, because it's a learning experience for all of us, right? He's the teacher and he's teaching us.
Exactly. So at that moment, here's what happened. I went a little further ahead, and there was a moment when he appeared, and then he started giving instructions, started giving us guidance.
É como se ele fechasse uma aliança com a gente agora, através do nosso emocional. Então ele pediu para mim vir aqui, dar um abraço em cada um de vocês e selar essa aliança, tá?
Você tá de parabéns, Larissa.
Parabéns, Larissa. Viva! Obrigado, Bilu.
Muito difícil.
Ela precisa estar junto. Muito forte na energia, né?
Eu não aguentei. Eu tentei me segurar, mas eu não aguentei.
E olha só, gente, assim, uma responsabilidade. Como eles disseram, tá virando a página, os próximos são vocês, tá? E como eu disse antes, ó, vocês não imaginam os fenômenos que tem para vocês, não para confirmar a presença de vocês, mas assim, para desenvolver as habilidades, a percepção, sabe? Reforça aquela energia interior que nós temos.
Directed in what way we could do it. Then he said, I had a container in my hand, a plastic jar like this, you know. The lid was transparent. The jar was also transparent, so you could see all around the jar, right? Just so there would be no doubt, you know. And this was a mental technology training for us to precipitate, right? An object inside this container. So we got there, he showed up, and gave me the first instructions on what I needed to do. There were moments when I had to go over to the group, you know, to slap hands with everyone, because that creates a synchronicity among all the people, right? a frase aqui?
Não.
Deu? And then there came a moment when he asked me to put that bowl, that plastic container, on the ground. So, really close by. It's also important to point out something. He was really close. There wasn't any brush, nothing at all, nothing light. Sometimes people are like, oh, but maybe he was showing up in the middle of the bushes. There was nothing, guys. There was no doubt about it. He was right there in front of us, giving us all the instructions on what we should do. So, I got there and put the bowl on the ground just like he asked. And then he started working on this thing, you know, having me visualize this image.
Yes.
Inside that bowl. So that's when I went back to the group, clapped my hands, the synchronicity happened, and he kept guiding me on what I needed to do. There came a moment when, as I got close to the pot, because he asked me to get close to it, when I got near it, I could already see inside the pot what was about to form there.
You could see in your mind the objects that were going to be precipitated. For those who don't understand materialized, it's just that we use the word precipitation.
Exactly.
You were already seeing it, but physically it wasn't there yet.
It wasn't.
You had that mental image.
Exactly. Because when he asked me to pick up the pot, just so there would be no doubt, right? I picked up the pot. The pot was completely empty. It weighed exactly the same. But when I looked from above, you know, inside it, I could already see the objects in there. So that makes us create this mental image. He had already guided us, already given us directions to create that image. So every time we think, the frequency of thought is the same as the frequency of plasma. So whenever we think about something, guys, we have to think that it's already happening, it's already taking shape. That's why it's important for us to be mindful of our thoughts, of what we wish for, you know, what we project for our lives. So, really, this became very clear at that moment, when I looked inside the pot and there were already things materialized inside, but I still didn't have anything, right? I was swinging and there was nothing. I only had the vision.
You just visualized it, right? You had this vision with all conviction, right?
Yes, people. Undoubtedly, such a fantastic deal, right? Because you see, you move and there's nothing, but you can see it inside. Then he asked me to put it back in the same place on the floor. He asked me to go back, take another 9 steps back. When I took the 9th step, a fire started to light next to the pot. The fire lit up, and then it ran toward the pot. When it reached the pot, it exploded.
In other words, when we say the fire lit up, folks, it's that plasmatic light.
Exactly.
It's a light. It's a luminous frequency typical of the manifestations from our partners. In fact, for those of you who have seen our other videos, especially the one about plasma, it's very similar. It's that same light, just at a different frequency.
Pronto, pode sair.
Aqui.
E ficou.
Ficou aqui. Agora eu não sei se foi do lado de dentro ou do lado de fora, né?
Como você diz, não sabe se ele atravessou ou não, né? A impressão que deu é que ele atravessou de lá. Aí.
Eu não sei se ele estava bem.
So, at that moment, that's when it lit up, it ran, and when it got to the pot, it burst out this light, right? That light burst out. That's when the materialization really happened, right?
Precipitation.
Of these objects. That's when I was able to get close again. He let me get closer. He was really close, talking, you know? It was me, the pot, and Bilu a little further ahead. That's wind. He let me pick up the pot and asked me to place it on my belly button. The moment I lifted it and put it on my belly button, I could already see that everything was materialized inside. Everything was materialized inside. He asked me to shake myself. I did, and I could feel the weight was totally different. And then that's when he asked me to move the pot away from my belly button, and I really realized that everything was materialized inside. So, like, at that moment, it was the generation of the frequency of emotion. That's when he hit me with an emotion that made me cry. And right then, it was like this alliance, you know? Of the materialization, the precipitation, that moment there, it was like that moment was sealed, you know? Of what was accomplished there.
É como se ele fechasse uma aliança com a gente agora, através do nosso emocional. Então ele pediu para mim vir aqui, dar um abraço em cada um de vocês e selar essa aliança, tá?
And from that materialization, that was accomplished. So all of this, folks, are parts of the mental technology that he was showing us, that he was teaching us there, right? So the intensity of our thoughts, the speed of our thoughts, the influence on matter, the accomplishment of those things. So these are things we can pay attention to in our daily lives. So in moments like this, the intensity of our energy, how do we do that? Through emotions, right? We can increase this intensity of energy.
Emotion is like turbocharged gasoline, you know? It amplifies it. We see a lot of people saying, oh, let's co-create, right? Let's co-create this, that. But you need an accelerated frequency combined with emotions, which is an incredibly powerful energy. But we're still learning to use this innovative mental technology even for the beings. Because the beings don't have 100% of the emotions that we have.
They're also in this training and learning process. They
are also learning because it's something new for them too. And with that, what can we do? These precipitations or materializations, massively boosting our brain activity, our thought is a modulating wave that, when projected, Larissa, what were you saying? That she was already seeing the little artifacts inside. In other words, that vision, right? Emitting in a high level of activity, this modulating wave did what? It brought together the protons and electrons that are suspended in the air and bam. It precipitated that. It made that happen. Physically.
Physically, golf. All of it. Physically, it wasn't. Oh, I think there's something there. No, it was all physical. You could see it, and then you could feel and see that the objects were already there, inside, materialized. So, emotion is really important. It's fuel Felipe talking about. Everyday life, intensify things, make what we want happen, move our own universe. Hi.
Have a curiosity, because I saw everything, I witnessed it, but it's that thing, we never really talked about it step by step. My curiosity is this, because I'd had similar experiences. Our training sessions are always a little different. It just comes out of nowhere. Did the emotion suddenly rise out of nowhere, or was it gradual? Did it build up? How did you feel it?
Yeah, it built up. Because when he asked me to put it on, everything was normal. But when he asked me to place the bowl on my belly button, that's when I started to feel something, because the realization had already happened. Then I started to feel something strange. And he kept talking to me, and he kept intensifying it. When he started talking to me, like, oh, why is that? Why do you have to direct it like that? The commitment part, right? So, what can you do from now on? So, as he was guiding me, it kept stirring things up more and more.
Do you think that pulled up some kind of memory, some recollection, or some coding you already carried in your field and then he catalyzed it, that he brought it out?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because it was part of what I needed to do from that moment on. So, it was something like that. It was a part like that. It was a turning point for me. Because from that moment on, I had a commitment, you know? I had steps to take. So, just like they say, right? We write that, which has to do with our future self, right? It will lead to that. So, it was something that was triggered like that. That moment right there, did you feel that he was provoking it so that it would happen? So, at that moment, he even said that the emotional part needed to happen so that moment could be sealed. So it could be sealed. That turning point I had in the process. Each person in their own time, in their own journey. Just like Felipe said, he had his own training, his own experiences, and that also brought him those moments of transition. Exactly.
It's different. Everyone is their own person. Because we have our past history, our history with the beings, there are a lot of things that make it different. Each person is unique. How could you not say that? To each monkey, their own branch. There's no cookie cutter mold.
Exactly. Everyone has a different frequency. So, for Felipe, it might be more intense for that goal. For me, it might be a little different. And that's how it goes. Each in their own time, each person is.
Each person.
That's it. This is just here.
Show how rich these experiences are. At Dakila, everyone has their own experience. You heard Hernani, two totally different things, but always in line with each person's personal story and commitment, because everyone here has a commitment as well.
To reach certain people, a certain number of people, in different ways. People are going to be reached, so each person has a goal. So it was different, and I saw that he really pushed for that to happen, for it to be successful. But you know, guys, later on it started to make sense. We started to understand the steps. As they give us more guidance, more information gets added, and we start to understand the process. That was happening on that day. And it sparks the start for other things to happen as well.
Now let me ask you something too. Was there ever a moment when you thought, will I be able to do this? Or did you feel a little scared? Or like, oh my.
God, was there any
Thing?
That's what's interesting, guys. Sometimes we notice, like, it's interesting to know what's going to happen beforehand. We always want that. But what's going to happen? We always want to know. But it's important for us not to know what's going to happen.
So we don't build up expectations.
Exactly. So it's interesting for us not to know. We knew something was going to happen there, but we didn't know how or in what way it would happen, if he would show up to give us guidance or if he wouldn't. We didn't know. We only knew that something was going to happen there. We didn't have any more information. And it's interesting because, like, I was put there and everyone else left.
They stepped back, everyone.
Stepped back. So I said, Gam, now what do I do? So, like, it's interesting you mentioned that, Felipe, because to generate the right frequency in that moment, for it to show up, I had to do a few things. It took a little while for it to appear too, right? So it's that kind of training, you know, generating the frequency of what you want. We have to practice that. We have to train our minds. But
at that moment, did you have any doubts, any fear, any insecurity? Or were you focused? No, I was focused. This is going to happen, period.
I was focused on what I needed to do. Doc, like, will it really? No, I didn't think any of that at that moment. I was really focused. Like, this is what I have to do, so that's what I'm going to do. I was super focused.
That's really interesting because I, for example, would already be a little anxious. Like, oh, is it really going to? In those moments right before, because there comes a moment when you get. Let's see if you felt that too. You get into a state of total neutrality. It feels like everything is under control. Everything's going to work out. You don't doubt anything. But I'm kind of a restless guy, very anxious, even if just a little. Before getting into that frequency she mentioned, I was always like, oh man, is it going to work out? Oh, am I going to make it? Will I be able to stay calm? I'm already a bit different. Yeah, it depends on each person's vibe, right? Yeah, everyone is their own way, but it didn't stop it from
happening.
It's because you always adjust.
You focus, right?
You focus and adjust, get in sync, and then you stay in that state of neutrality. That's why I find it interesting, all these stories we see out there. People say, oh no, the interaction, the being, the love, I felt something. But it's neutral, isn't it? It's neutral. We become totally neutral, guys. The frequency in all these practices is neutrality.
Yeah, from neutrality. You become super neutral. You don't get anxious. No, actually, he had to stir up that emotion at the end for that feeling to happen, but you stay totally neutral. You don't get anxious or anything like that. No. So, it's really interesting. That day, it really stuck with me. It's like another option too, but we'll talk about that later, right, Felipe? But anyway, the windows, right? So, it keeps building up, like it stays in your mind. You picture it, you go back to that moment. Thank you. You know exactly everything you did, everything you said, right?
That's unforgettable. It's funny. That's actually something curious. These interactions, these training sessions with the more advanced partners, let's put it that way, you never forget them. There are things that, I don't know, yours has already been 10 years. Jorge, it's already been 10 years. Guys, there are things we've gone through, I don't know, 15 years ago. You don't forget. It's weird. It's alive, like it was yesterday. You can even feel it. If
you had to go back to that day, you would go back and you could.
Exactly. Those are the windows, But that's a whole other story for us to tell.
But this part about mental technology is super interesting. And, guys, we have to understand the following. Oh, but you were there with Bilu. Or that's not possible in our daily lives. That's what Felipe was talking about. Our fuel is emotional. So, it's like intensity and energy. Let's say, for example, I'm having a day. Oh, I stubbed my little toe on the corner of the table. Man, I felt that terrible pain. Let's transmute that. Let's transmute this pain. Then send it to the frontal so we can store it.
Frontal. Imagine it coming here.
That's it.
That anger, that energy, so that we
Store it. Exactly. To have that intensity when we need to use something. Just like we talked about. Our thoughts. At the same frequency as plasma. Exactly. So everything we think, we manifest. So, with that speed of thought, of making things happen, we can turn that into reality, act on matter. So we need to use these triggers, this part of the fuel. We talked here about the anger we felt when we stubbed our toe, but it could also be joy. Any kind of emotion, we can store that. To bring that into our daily lives, so we can accomplish the things we need to, so we can transform what we want. In a quick way. We have to have that speed of thought so that it really happens right away.
Exactly. And just to remind everyone, all of this that we talk about, that we mention, that happens at Dakila, this is the result of intense training. It's not magic. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not just, let's say, this part about mental focus, the intensity of emotions, what else is there? Electric charge, cellular, that's extremely important. You need to improve your physical instrument, which is our body. The MDPL, you see it all the time. Those who watch and follow, you always see Larissa using the MDPL there and all that. All of that helps. All of our training at Dakila makes this easier. They're specifically aimed at what? Providing this kind of experience. But look, it's hard. These are tough trainings. How many years?
Well, many years there.
Activations.
For us to reach this adjustment. For us to reach this synchronicity that we need. So, like Felipe said, it's training. It's development. It's about us noticing. Many times, we don't understand. Oh, but why did this happen? Calm down, guys. Let's keep going, and soon we'll understand. You get further along in the process, and then you say, wow, what happened to me has everything to do with this part. Now, which are the stages, right? We're going to talk about them a bit later in the video, but they're totally connected to these initial stages, right? And one thing complements the other. Our training, our development. We don't get it at the time, but later on, we understand the process that's happening to us.
And all this training is essential because, remember, folks, I'm going to catch you off guard now. You weren't expecting this, but I'm going to throw a curveball your way. All these trainings are fundamental. We are living through a process of transition. It's the transition between the modulating waves. We're moving from the neutral modulating wave to the negative modulating wave. We're already in the process of change. When this happens, it alters the Earth's MDPL. Remember, MDPL stands for magnetism, density, pressure, and light. And this has consequences for us, especially in our thinking. We're not used to using our little heads, our brains, our mental apparatus. We're not used to it. So, this change in the MDPL, how is it going to leave us? It's not just a change in the MDPL, but also a change in the Earth's magnetic field. This is happening. There's a weakening going on. This is going to affect our ability to discern. It does, and Larissa here has a story from the throne, from another place, which was a practical example. This difficulty in discernment is already happening. In fact, our partners warned us that world leaders would take advantage of this moment to spread terror. We're seeing what's happening out there. And also to take insane, crazy actions, taking advantage of this. Let's say, this temporary mental confusion among the population. This difficulty, it's real, we're seeing it. The attitude of world leaders is completely insane, and a lot of people aren't even realizing it. It's related to this. It is. And Larissa went through a fantastic training with Bilu, at the throne, which is another area over there. Fernando was there too, Andre, Larissa's husband. There were about 30 people there with us. There were. It looked like a theater. All of us sitting watching. Larissa went down alone, stood next to Bilu.
She did.
So tell us, Larissa, I caught you with this one. But it's important for people, because you had the practical experience.
I did. It was the practical experience of what Felipe is talking about now, and it's the moment we're going through right now. And
It's going to get worse, and
it's going to get worse.
it's going to get even stronger.
That's why some people are in this mental confusion. There's so much happening in the world, so much we see in the news, so people are confused because of this moment. That's it. Bilu showed us this physically during that training. So, there was a moment when we were doing a task at the throne, we gathered there. We were split into several groups around the farm, and we were in this throne group. Then, when we got there, I heard a really strange noise on the left side, so I moved more to the left and Bilu Jalal started to speak. Then he started talking, I began to hear the noise, and he asked me to come closer to him. So, the group stayed in the throne area and I was a bit further down, together with him. And the whole time we were in contact. While he was talking to me, he was also talking to the people at the throne. We discussed many topics that day, right? TLDC, many things Bilu mentioned, right? That's right. He gave a lot of guidance and the training was happening that whole time. While he was talking to the group, he was also talking to me. The training. He came up to me, and that's when he started asking if I was noticing anything, if there was anyone near me. And you guys even saw that there was a frequency close by. And I think the way you saw it, and the way I saw it from there towards you, it was like there was a curtain.
It was really clear, and it was even at night, with a spectacular full moon. Right by Morro do Rank Star, the moon rises right next to it. From that table, for anyone who's seen it, it looks like a square hill right in front of us, and the moon had just risen. It had just come up. It must have been around 7 p.m. It wasn't late, about 7 or 8 at night, so a really bright full moon. But even so, I was next to Fernando. Larissa went down, then I turned to him and said, "Man, did you notice the brightness? It seems like..." Yeah, it got dimmer. It was like there was a dimmer on the moon. It got darker, but it was clear, guys. And it felt like there was a curtain between us and Larissa. Bilu. It was like a thin membrane.
That's it, exactly, that.
Seen. So we could hear, see everything. It was even kind of funny when Larissa started getting confused over there. But we weren't understanding. At first, we didn't understand what was happening, right?
Right? Yeah, no, I didn't understand. Because what Felipe said was really clear. And it's when we start interacting with the parallel reality that this kind of thing happens.
Call zero time.
Exactly, zero time. So, you're in that intensity, and suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel like, you go, wait, guys, what's happening here?
Everything changes completely. It goes silent. You don't hear any noise at all. It's like nature itself is silent. It seems.
Like you're alone, there.
In nature, inside a bubble.
Bubble.
It feels like you're totally inside a bubble. And that's really what happens. They put us in a parallel reality. Precisely to do this kind of training. Because they alter the MDPL of the area. That is, of the bubble we're inside.
All of us who were there were interacting with this parallel reality. So he kept giving information. Many times, he would ask me to listen to what he was saying to me, quietly, and also to listen to what the people over there were saying to him. So he kept playing this kind of game, you know? So I had to pay attention to the movements he was making in front of me, and to what he was saying to me, and what the people behind, in the group, were saying to him. So I had to notice these three realities. So later he would ask me, "Hey Larissa, what did you notice?" Then I would say, "Well, I saw that you did this, you said that to me, and the people behind me said this, and this." So, he kept doing this the whole time. There came a moment when he talked about bilocation, right? That he was going to bilocate, that he was going to make, like, a tear in time, even the... I managed to hear what happened at that moment, you know? It was really crazy. I've never heard anything in my life like what I heard that day. So he came and said, "Oh, let's do a training here. Bilu is going to bilocate. And you have to figure out where Bilu is going to be and pay attention to what people are saying."
Just to clarify, bilocating is when Bilu is in two places at the same time. But physically, okay, folks, it's a technology from our partners.
Physically. You see all the movement and you can see that he's physically in both places. Exactly. It's worth really remembering that. So, that bilocation happened. And he was a little more to my right, and the other was a little more to the left. And people were talking. So, the whole time, he kept doing that. And that bilocation he did at that moment was to generate the frequency, and for everyone who was there. To also generate that bilocation frequency. To also have it recorded in your frequency, to make that movement, to perform that bilocation. So, everyone present there can also do it, can generate that frequency to perform that bilocation as well. So, every phenomenon, every time he does it, in the groups, all of us who are there, every time he does this, it makes the frequency be generated for everyone present. It's as if it marks the field of everyone, and they also have the potential to do this by generating the frequency, studying, and practicing. So that they can also develop this bilocation.
These are frequency modulations that are sent to the group, and we absorb this frequency that stays in our field.
That's right. So, the whole time, he was making these movements, asking, like, Larissa, so, what did you notice? And he kept doing the training in talking to everyone. And there came a point when he started questioning me about some things, because it involved something about the TLDC he was talking about, right? Yes, about our system, right? That's right, our internal financial system. And he was talking to the team, and it had something to do with this numbers part. And whether people would pay or get it back, right? Something about the bonus. So, that's when I got really confused. Because he started asking 1 and 2 and plus 3 and 4 and 1 plus 1. And what does that add up to? So he started asking, and I just couldn't. It felt like my mind just froze, like it locked up. I couldn't answer anymore.
That was what affected us the most. Why? That's why I say, it felt like there was a curtain, a membrane dividing where Larissa was. With Bilu, she must have been about 30 meters away. It was very. We could see. We saw both of them there. And it was a full moon, right? Even though the brightness had dimmed. So I turned to Nando. Look, Nando, doesn't Larissa get it? Like the numbers. I don't remember exactly, but it was like 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 equals what? She was lost. You could see she was lost. We weren't. And then he explained why, right?
Yeah, then he explained why. So, look, what did he do before? He set all this up beforehand so I would pay attention to him, to what he was saying, and to what other people were saying. The whole time. And then, at a certain point, he did it again, and that's when the confusion happened. Everything got stuck. With something simple, right? With something simple. Like, just a tiny detail.
It's silly. 1 plus 1 equals basic. Nothing complicated.
No, nothing complicated. Really easy stuff to answer. But I froze. So, at that moment, I realized something was off. I couldn't answer him. I was paying attention, but I just couldn't do it. No answer would come to mind for that question. So that's what happened. That was the training he did. Then he explained it, right, Felipe? That it was the moment when, later on, when we were in that modulating wave, we would be under that effect. That's it. Just like that. We wouldn't be able to answer basic things. We wouldn't be able to say basic things, let alone make any decisions about our lives.
Exactly. And he said, he made it clear that this would be the moment when governments would have a field day, taking advantage of the situation to push through all kinds of crazy stuff, because people wouldn't.
No.
He did a simulation for us to see what would happen.
Exactly.
In the future, this.
We're already in this process, folks. So, we can tell from the information, the news we see, even from the way things move in our daily lives, that a lot of people are tied to something we can't quite figure out. People sometimes don't have the discernment to respond to something. They can't realize what's going on. So, it seems like everything is being steered in just one direction. They can't think for themselves, right?
Led around like cattle, folks. Like we say, this is real, this is actually happening. And this mental training, this mental technology, that's why it's so important. Because what does this training do? It helps us navigate these crazy times, right?
Exactly. So, he showed it in practice. Everyone there experienced it. At that moment when we were there, we were living in a different reality, because the other groups had already finished their tasks, remember?
Yes.
We're the last ones left. Everyone else had already finished their tasks, had already left, and we were still there on the throne, still doing our task. We were in a different time reality.
There was even a time discrepancy, right? It felt like it was more than 3 hours. I think that's how long it took. The people downstairs had already left, right?
They had already left. They waited around, but no one answered. They kept waiting.
No one answered. It seemed like there was nobody there, so they left. In other words, we were even living, let's say, in a different time and space.
Different.
Just 50 meters away, because the people who were under the throne were 50 meters away. Yeah, there were people.
Close Cascalio.
Yes, them too.
Really close.
How far is that? It's not even 100 meters away. That's pretty interesting.
Interesting. So, that was another really cool part of the training for us to understand. And then he did all that movement, that training with the whole group that was there.
So, all these stories are really interesting. Now, let's go. Larissa, let's talk about your experience with your future self. Because a lot of people, your higher self, actually, including our partners, our partner Tilo, who is a brother of Bilu and Bell. He's very serious. He's a doctor. He's the guy, let's say, who talks about health, about medicine and all that. But he also, on one occasion, gave us 2 very important classes. In one of them, he talked a lot about the future self, and he always said, your higher self, the future self. He always linked the two, because he said that our understanding of the future self is mistaken. Our future self is not some divine self that you have to connect with. It's nothing like that. The future self is you in the future, and recently, the 49 races gave authorization for this future self to move through space-time and do what? To have a conversation, an interaction, a direct training with you. Why? Because there's no one better than yourself to come back from the future and say, daughter, do it like this, like that, because for you, it's the past. This happens in a pragmatic, down-to-earth, calm way, no matter how crazy it might seem. But, as I said at the beginning, many of us have had this experience. Larissa, as far as I remember, I haven't had it. At least, not that I remember, I haven't had it. But Larissa has, and it's pretty interesting. Tell us about it. Yeah.
It's interesting. Let's share it to tell how it was. So, guys, all these trainings are really important, including everything Felipe shares from various researchers in his videos on his channel, because it helps us expand. We can expand and bring this information to more people, because I'm certain that everyone is already able to do this. For sure, they felt something different, like an intuition, a really strong thought that invades our mind, a premonition. Some people dream about certain things, some people have a different kind of feeling. So, all of these are already manifestations happening. Because just like we have our physical body, which is made up of the 5 senses we have, we also have our future self, which is ourselves in the future, who has thousands of senses. That's right. So, through this information that our future self gives us, we are able to, for example, in many moments throughout our lives, we have doubts. We come to a crossroads. And then, where do we go? What decision am I going to make in my life? Should I go to the right? Should I go to the left? Should I take another path? What happens then? So, these are moments when we start to doubt ourselves. And for sure, our future self gives us this information. Exactly. Through some sense, something different, beyond the 5 senses, it gives us this information. But it's up to us to be receptive.
To which?
Path we can follow. If we notice this and we follow that path that was shown to us, that thought that popped into our head, that intuition we felt, if we go down that path, we will definitely experience something very positive. There's a very high chance we'll get it right and do what we need to do. But if we hesitate and say, oh no, I don't think so, let's do it another way, then for sure, something might go wrong.
The presence, this interaction with our higher self, which is our future self, is very real. But you need to train for it. You need to be attentive. You need to have high brain activity to be able to pick up on all of this, because it's not just a little thing. It's not just a tiny hunch. Like, oh, I think so. It comes on strong, guys. It's something really powerful. This is very real. It might seem subjective, but it's not. Exactly. At the crossroads, you have to listen to that inner voice. It's a certainty, not just a little thing. So, what is that? It's a real communication between you and your higher self, which is your future self. It's you in the future. Every time, I always like to use what Tilo used to say, one of our partners, as an example. He always used to say, your higher self, your future self. You would say both together, just to make it clear. Because we still get confused about this.
Exactly. And actually, in line with what Felipe said, this also applies to food. So what happened? Usually, this happens before a field activity. This was before a trip to the farm in Ravello. I was home alone. It was a little before the activity, and usually during dinner I go out to do the training, to see if there's any information. So that day I was getting ready and the thought came to me, like, oh, do your task in the amphitheater today. The amphitheater is usually a place I almost never go to. I usually go to other places. When I want to get some information or do part of the training, I go somewhere else, so it really caught my attention that day. I changed the spot. This idea of changing the spot just came to me, and I said, well, I'll go there. So I finished getting ready and went. The night was clear. There was a moon. I could see far. You could even walk without a flashlight because you could see far. So I was getting to the road, and when I got to the soccer field, for those who know the place, we have our own field. I was getting close to the soccer field, almost going down toward the Venus condominium. That's when I looked at the field, and on the other side, by the other goalpost, the other crossbar, as people call it down south. The kids call it the goal. At the other goalpost on the other side, there was someone there. So I saw a person who was just a normal person. The normal person was dressed in darker clothes and was wearing what looked like a longer coat that went down to about halfway to the ankle, like close to the ankle. Kind of like a
Trench coat?
Yeah, like a trench coat. Dark. And what really caught my attention, what was really different, guys, was what they had in their hand, a little below their hand, a golden light. So, like, it wasn't a flashlight. You can definitely try it out later, right? It wasn't a flashlight. It was a really dim light. You could barely see the light on the ground, and it was golden. And that caught my attention, because I thought, wow, that's a totally different kind of flashlight, right? That didn't really look like a flashlight, but I could see this person going back and forth, behind the goalpost, just walking around over there. So I stopped, just stood there watching what this person was doing, and it seemed like they wanted to get to the other side of the fence, but couldn't. That's what it looked like, because they kept circling around there and never left that spot. I kept watching, and suddenly I thought, well, I'm going to go over there and help, because I want to see what's going on. Then, when I started to walk onto the field, I saw that the person left where they were, by the Tasia Traba, and started walking as if heading toward the exit of the field, toward the bathrooms over there. So this person, when I started to go in, I saw that they also started walking. And then I kept going toward them, and they started walking toward the exit. Leaving, they first went to the bleachers and then turned left to exit the field. When I got about halfway across the field, they were already almost out. And I started to pick up the pace. To go, I thought, man, this person is running away, right? What's going on here? Are they running away? What is this? But still, I hadn't realized anything yet. So I kept walking, picked up the pace, and the person kept walking, and suddenly, out of nowhere, guys, right in front of me, there was no one there anymore. So the person, I noticed they took about 3 steps out of the field, 3 or 4, and suddenly, I was staring straight ahead. I didn't look anywhere else. Staring right at them, suddenly, out of nowhere, there was no one there anymore. Then I ran, went down, went up, turned on the flashlight, called out, shouted, called for someone, hey, is anyone there? Is anyone there? I went up, went down, checked everywhere around there, walked all over, and there was no one.
And there, guys, there's no brush or bushes to hide in. It's all open across the whole school field.
The car. All around there it's clear, there's nothing. So when that happened I said, wow guys, something is going on. And you.
You didn't feel anything like that?
No, not at that moment. Then when I turned around, when I came back, I looked, took a few steps forward. The person was gone. I looked for them. When I went back toward the field again, and I looked over to the other side, near where she was by the goalpost, there was a bunch of lights. Right at the corner of the field, down below, toward the theater. There was a lot of light there. It looked like really tiny fireflies, really, really small, but they weren't blinking. Like little dots. Yeah. So when I saw that, I said, I'm interacting with a parallel reality here. Something's going on. When I saw that, you know. So I was like, well, I just stood there, kind of confused, my mind racing. Because something really crazy happened there. The person disappeared right in front of me. I needed to understand what was happening. So then I thought, well, I'm going to the amphitheater. Then I got to the amphitheater and my mind was racing, and I was trying to make sense of it. And I kept thinking, man, but I'm interacting with a parallel reality. Something is going on. And I stayed there for a while and said, well, I'm going back. Because I'm interacting with that parallel reality over there. So I went back to the field again. Then when I got back to the field, something just came to me, like a feeling. This person walked around here a lot. They left something for me. Whom? So I kept thinking about it, that she left something. So I grabbed my flashlight and went. When I got back to the field, the little lights were gone. They had already turned off. They weren't there anymore. Guys, all of this is physical. There's nothing like someone could be shining a light or. Everything is physical. That person was right there. There was no forest. It was inside the soccer field where I saw all of this, and it was really bright. And,
Soccer field has a fence that's 6 meters high. There's no way it's huge. It's completely fenced in.
there's just no way. I went back there and started looking on the ground, because that person had left something for me. So I started looking where she had been walking, but I couldn't find anything. I spent some time circling around where she had been walking and decided to retrace my steps. I stayed there. I followed the path she took. That I saw her take, right? That's when she went outside. Like, off the grass, where the grass ends there. I kept looking down at the ground. I kept looking and thought, well, she must have left something behind. When I saw the footprints she left, then, when I saw the footprints, wow, it was like something just clicked right there. I felt something I had never felt in my life. I don't know, it was like an energy rising up. Up my back, like really strong. And I felt something in my chest, and something really strong went up my back. It felt like it even reached my forehead. That really affected me. When I saw the footprints, because I knew the footprints were like it's a code for me. Yes. The footprints, right? Yes. So when I saw that, I started to understand a lot of things that had happened, you know? And I even took some pictures. I photographed it. Then some people asked me, you know? But it could have been someone else who stepped there, right? Yes. So, guys, that's not possible. You know why? Because that day, it hadn't been long since it rained, and the sand there didn't have any marks on it. It was smooth. And another detail is this. There was a right footprint, but not a left one, and then another right one in front, then a left one, and then in front there wasn't another one. So it kept alternating, you know? A person would have to be seisai per.
They would.
And
We have an example of that too, back in our homeland, in Rio Grande do Sul, in Minas de Camacua, when Lilith also walked and left footprints, when the being from Gemos also walked and left footprints, always in the same way, folks.
exactly. Just like that, alternating.
I have a photo of Lilith's footprint, so you can see.
Here it is, look. So, when I saw those footprints there, I understood a lot right away, because I knew that was meant for me. That manifestation that happened was for me. Something was there, and then the next day I stayed. And that was the confirmation that it really was my future self who was there. That was the first manifestation of my future self with me. The first interaction I had was that day. It left the footprints. I took a picture. I have everything documented. And these are the codings. For each person it's different. For one it will be this, thank you. For another it will be a light. For another it will be a stone. So, for each person, it will be a different coding. Everyone has a different frequency, so the coding will be different too. So, that was the first interaction I had with my future self. This manifestation keeps happening. I've had others, you know? But the one I could see like this, in this way, was that time. So, it had this. I had, right? My future self had this golden light in their hand. And that's what happened. So, this keeps happening. These interactions keep occurring more and more, until the moment when we can actually see ourselves. At the moment when we actually see ourselves, when we talk to ourselves, just like Felipe said, there's no one better than each of us to know ourselves, to share information, to say, look, if you go down this path, this and that will happen. Do it this way and it will work out. So, it will guide us, it will tell us what to do. That's why, throughout our lives, we're constantly receiving this information all the time. It's just that. There's so much craziness in our daily lives that we don't notice it. But we have to stop and pay attention to it. We do receive this information. We have this very strongly within us. Some people feel it much more intensely. For others, it's a bit more subtle. But if that person focuses more on the physical side to increase their electrical charge, if they manage to improve their diet with minerals, vitamins, and proteins, that will help them get more in sync with that other future.
Exactly. and it really does communicate. In fact, like I told you at the beginning, my dad has experienced this in his room at night. My mom was terrified. She woke up thinking I was a burglar in his bathroom. He was sitting on the bed, talking to the guy, and my mom was hearing and seeing everything. It was something surreal, totally surreal. I'll try to record him talking about it.
That would be
Really interesting.
because, guys, this isn't physical. What we talked about, what the other researchers mentioned in the other videos, that's physical, it's all recorded, it's documented. There's no, oh, I think I saw it. No, it happened. There were even footprints, there were photos, and that's how all our training happens, Luciana.
Right, too. Didn't she talk to her future self? Did she have a conversation there in the throne square?
There was also a manifestation.
I'll see if I can drag my sister and Mai.
Yeah, there was a manifestation. She's kind of
Nervous, a little shy. But let's see if she reports that she talked, right? And he spoke.
with her future, he replied, "You were."
Together? You, Fernando. With testimony.
So, folks, this is what happens. That was the first stage. At that moment, I was alone. There were other times when I was together with them, this time with them, I was there too. There was another time I was there as well, and it was also the manifestation of my future self, coming, walking toward us. So, these are stages, they're trainings, they're moments that we go through, and each time this stage gets closer so that we can speak openly, they can respond, and we can have a direct conversation.
Very interesting. There was someone, some time ago, who was on the trail, on the hill, on the trail, which is a special place there, a trail that has a horizontal vortex that already gives you a boost. Who had? There was also a conversation, and he saw himself perfectly. He kept looking. I won't say the person's name because I don't know. This was a long time ago. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know how he is now, but he talked and saw himself and kept thinking, my God, is that me? He was amazed, like I'm talking to myself.
And then, have we ever stopped to ask ourselves, what are we going to ask? What would we ask? What would we say? What are we going to take away from this moment? So I think it's really interesting for us to think about that, right?
And what does it mean, too? What does it mean? That you managed to level up, you're already in the future, transformed in a parallel world coming back to. That's really significant, isn't it, folks? To move on.
To pass on information, to help you to synchronize. So a synchronicity happens right at that moment. And that gets sharper and sharper, right? Your skills, the way you think, the way you make things happen, all of that keeps getting sharper and sharper. The more synchronicity there is, the more we become a super person, right? A superhuman, right? A super.
Human. Let's say you reach that condition through all this training. Guys, it's not like waving a magic wand.
No.
It's not. This training is hard. A lot of people.
Right? A lot of people, guys, a lot of researchers, we have many researchers who go through this training, who have these experiences, and it's really rewarding. It's something really good that we can share so that people at home can also think, wow, this is really happening to me, isn't it? I'm feeling these manifestations. So we get closer and closer to these frequencies, right? So we have a lot of experiences and all of this adds a lot. It's not someone
telling you what to do. You know what you're experiencing. You're having the physical experience. It's something no one can take away from you. You never forget it. It's the
window, right? You create that window.
That window.
That information, that emotion from that moment stays stored for when you need to retrieve it. It's saved on your hard drive right there, you know?
Exactly. Larissa, since you're here, so this doesn't get too long, just remembering that interview with another fellow countryman of ours, a gaucho, Bernardo Costalunga. If you haven't watched it, there's another link here. That's right. It was a really cool interview. He was basically born in Dakila. His first job, I was following along. He was just 2 months old with his parents, him and the baby carrier. He was born there, right? He was born there. So what happens? He told you about a conversation he had with Bilu and some other kids. It was the kids' group where he held Bilu's hand and all that, and since Larissa is here, I'm already going to ask her to share here, because she was there. She and Fernanda Lema were both present.
Nando was filming,
Go ahead and tell us.
and we were there with the kids. It was a task where we had to take the children to the magic stone, a little past the probes, nearby. And we took the kids there, and Bilu talked a lot with the children, chatted, played with them a lot. And there was a moment when he left the kids.
My son Rafa. Rafa was 7 years old. He must have been. He was younger, because B is older. He must have been 5 or 6 years old.
Rafa must have been there, because all the kids were gathered together. All the kids.
Together.
They gathered all the kids and went over there. Gabby. Gabby was there too. Gabby was there too. The
Niece
of Larissa,
was there too. It's the kids who were born there.
who have been training.
Since they were newborns. They were born there.
And then they had this amazing experience with Bilu. Bilu played with them a lot. And that's when he got really close to them. Like B said, he held their hands. He held their hands. And in the end, he let everyone hold his hand. And it was really wild, because I was the last one in line. I actually need to check with Nanda. If we pull up that recording, I was at the end of the line. And then guys, he was at my height. He was exactly at my height. So he
Stretched up, because he's a bit shorter.
was at my height, stayed at my height. He was wearing what looked like a white hoodie with the hood up. I couldn't really see much of his face. But, well, I'm here and he's right in front of me. That's how it was, right? It was just one step. Then we passed by and he hit my hand, right? He hit my hand, and then, when he hit my hand, he paused for a moment like that, asked if everything was okay with the assignment, and then he took 2 or 3 steps back, but he didn't turn his back to me. He stepped back facing me, and then we kept talking about the progress of the assignment, and right after that he wrapped things up so he could leave. In other words,
This is a witness, one of the many who were there, recounting what Bernardo told us from his point of view. You have to understand that he was a child. Yes, he was little. Narilho was already an adult, right?
so,
It's a different perspective.
that was the statement. So, interesting, right? What kind of window did he open for the children, right? At the moment when he touched the children too, right? The frequency that was generated. So, all of this, folks, we have to stop and think about, right? That exchange that happened right then and there. He does these little jokes to interact with people, you know? To exchange information, to interact with people. So people, sometimes they're like, asking, oh, but why does he keep making these jokes and stuff, right? So it's a movement he makes, it's the way he modulates, his tone of voice, there's a reason for all of it.
Everything matters. They're all modulations, frequency, sound, light, physical, with touch. Let's say it's something interesting and also new, because it's the perspective we're having of a technology we still don't understand from the 49 races who have extremely advanced technology. Their way of operating, how they move, how they, let's say, manage all this training is totally different, even from what we could ever imagine. Because after watching so many science fiction movies, you end up with a view that doesn't match reality. It's because the system, the government, the leadership, want the public to think that's how it should be. You get it? And another interesting thing, all these people we see on the internet, who keep saying that Tebelu is just a man in a costume, that it's Randy in disguise. Guys, dozens of kids, Larissa interacting with him right in front of her.
Physically, guys,
Physically, touching, you can see it. She saw him like that. She saw him almost at her height. At mine.
height, he was, pow.
All are you, more or less? Pretty close. 1.70 meters. 1.70. Larissa is 1.70. Looks taller here. But I'm taller. You see, this interaction with Larissa, with me, I've seen him in all sorts of sizes too. Vivian, my wife, was freaked out by a giant, like 3.5 meters tall. She went crazy. I mean, come on, how can you? How are you supposed to deal with that? For us, we just find it funny.
And it's not out in the middle of the woods, right? No, it's outside. There, at the place where we were. The kids interacted with him. There's nothing there. It's just a rock. It was a big rock. A rock.
With no brush or anything. None.
There's no forest at all. Oh, it's behind the bushes, or whatever. No, guys, that's not it. He was close by, right in front of the kids, everyone. So it's all physical, everything.
Exactly. This is to show you that it's an interaction. Guys, it's been years, dozens, hundreds of people with this kind of interaction, this kind of, let's say, training. And you have to understand this. This is reality. It has nothing to do with what you keep hearing out there about ETs, about this and that they're all monsters, all ugly, here to abduct, to do things, to conquer. It's nothing like that, guys. They're here. They're just like us. We, as they say, are your older siblings with different technology, and we're training you to help you put tools in your hands so you can make the changes that need to be made. There won't be like I always say, people keep waiting for a being of light to come down and save them. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're training a group of people so that we can make all the changes ourselves. Isn't that right?
Exactly. So, it's the training, it's the experiences. We learn a lot. And we really need to share this information with everyone, so that people are aware of it and also think about it. Notice what's happening in their daily lives. This stage of training is very important, but it's also important that people notice, that they feel it, because they will feel it. It's like there's an emptiness in their chest, like something is really missing in their lives. As if what they're living doesn't make much sense. So, everyone, let's look for something different. Let's look for other things, for other information. What makes sense to you? What drives you? What moves you? What is the spark that lights up your heart? You have to look for that. You have to go after it. So, let's not go after what other people tell us, that this or that might be, that this is the truth. No, see what is true for you, what moves you, what makes you different, right? Go after that. So, like we said here, all of us have our own search, right? We went after what we felt needed to change or something that made sense in our lives. So that's what we have to do, chase after what makes sense, right? So, we've been here all these years at Dakila. We have thousands of researchers, many researchers who go through all these experiences, and we have several videos of all of them sharing a lot of information so we can spread this information to everyone, so that people are really aware of it, and if it makes sense to them, they're also invited to seek and research together with us.
Exactly. In fact, taking advantage of what Larissa just said, that's exactly my intention. A lot of people say, but the channel this, the channel that. Guys, my channel is spontaneous, homemade. My goal there is to pass information on to you. No frills, no fireworks, no fancy intros, no little songs, nothing like that. Right there in the mess of my own office. What matters is what we're sharing, the frequencies, the information, our experiences, our stories. That's what matters, so you can know. All of that is recorded here on my channel. A few years ago, my wife and I were coming back down from the hill, up there near the marks, which is kind of an open area. And one of Bilu's brothers showed up, Tato. He appeared right next to me. He's the technology guy. He came up to me and said, Felipe, you need to tell everything. Say everything. Speak openly. Talk about us. Talk about the 49 races. People need to know that there are 49 races, that there's a group from Aquila being trained by them to mediate knowledge and technology. training to try to truly change this world with wisdom and intelligence, not in a passive way, but firmly, assertively. A gentle voice, but firm. People need to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that it's not this madness we're living in. So, after talking with him, that's when I created my channel and started doing things in a very calm way. And I'm really happy to be here for this interview with Larissa. We've known each other for a long time, many years. And it was really cool. It is very important that everyone knows what is happening in Dakar. Because we're really going to change a lot of things, people. But together. We with all of you.
Together.
Thank you, Larissa. I thank you. Thank you very much. If you want to say one more thing to close.
Thank you, Felipe. Thanks a lot. And to everyone who's watching, who contributed, who helped with the information, I hope we can keep spreading and sharing this knowledge and all the information from our friends out there to the whole world.
All right, folks. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. See you
next time.